Alrighty, folks, as promised, I want to do a video with Taylor from Life Goal Investments talking about First Republic Bank. We are recording this at 8:36 a.m. on Monday, the 24th of April, just so we're clear when this is coming. They are reporting after hours today. Taylor, this is a bank that's been in the news, I think is fair to say. I am curious, as somebody that's been in the game for 10 years, what would be things you would look at in their income statement, their balance sheet, maybe their cash flow statement, their Q&A session, which often occurs after earnings? What are some things that you would poke at and go, that's better? What'd you look at in this particular report?
Yeah, overall, I think what you're trying to take away is there any margin for safety here? Have we cut things literally so razor thin that one little needle can fall, and be the straw that broke the camel's back at the end of the day? So what you're trying to get an idea of is their cash flow situation. How dire has it gotten recently? Because we know people don't trust the bank. So that there is a mass exodus of assets away from them. And that obviously constrains their liquidity profile on the other side. And then let's look at this loan book and let's see who they're loaning money to. And that's probably the utmost of importance, because we have to know, are these good loans? Are these bad loans? And if they are bad loans, what kind of reserves do we have to offset? And what kind of liquidity profile do we have if these loans can no longer make their payments?
Yeah, I think one of the first things I would be looking at is their total deposits. Right. I think it's going to be distorted because I'm sure they're going to include, I think it was 20 billion from the big banks.
Yeah.
So whatever total deposits.
Yeah, that consortium of JP Morgan, Goldman,
yeah.
I could screw this up, but I know JP Morgan was involved, and like 4 or 5 different banks came together and said, here's an infusion of capital to keep your head above water.
Yeah. So I assume that's going to be reported in total deposits, which is short-term money.
Right.
I think is it owed back in like 90 days or a year or something?
I don't know what the stipulation on that was, but yeah, that's not money. It's
not client
there's
money.
incentive. There's incentive behind that as well.
Yeah, exactly. They're paying interest on that. Absolutely. So again, I think I would look at total deposits. I would X that bank infusion, for lack of a better term.
Yep.
I think loan loss reserves will be interesting. Their what is I forget what it's called, right? Hold to maturity versus mark to market, right? What that total loss looks like.
Available for sale, I think it is on the other side.
Yeah,
so it's hold to maturity, available for sale. I actually think, though, Michael, that may have kind of taken a back seat, just because the Fed has stepped in and said, like, we'll make good on these. Granted, I guess I'll talk about both sides of the mouth. Long term, it's still a situation for them. But when it comes to the immediately liquidity, where I think the real fear is that this bank could go out of business any day. And so that hold to maturity versus available for sale, I think you can look at the hold to maturity stuff as available for sale to the Fed.
Yeah, because they're going to pay par, right? They're going to give full value. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. And again, people have clearly been using that, but we don't know who, right? They used to publish who's going. They don't do that anymore. It'll be interesting if it becomes obvious that they're part of that cycle. I think you might see that in the report.
One thing that's funny to me, Michael, is like these highly volatile, highly binary type result type stock situations are like a bug light for investors. The amount of questions I get on, hey, Taylor, should I buy First Republic Bank? And my head wants to explode when I hear that. Investing is not gambling. That is the essence of gambling. This could work out, and you could see a 5-factor return very, very quickly. I think it's more likely that you see it go to 0 very, very quickly. So, guys, like, investing over the long term is all about grinding out slow and steady 7% results. It's not about trying to hit a home run, because what you do is when you touch that fire and you get burnt by it, which is going to happen 50% of the time in these high risk scenarios, then you take a step back and say, hey, maybe I'm not an investor. And the other thing about it is what I try to tell people from a real financial standpoint perspective is you want the highest percentage of your money invested in a way that you can trust. So a big portion of your assets are grinding out compounding returns. Now, it might only be grinding out 4 to 5% compounding returns with 90% of your capital, but I still like that better than trying to grind out 100% returns on 10% of your capital and leaving the other set aside. The bug light and the, hey, I want to hit that grand slam, it works sometimes, But are you able to put a big chunk of your assets in that and get a return on a big chunk of your assets? No, because it's, a binary result could go to zero. So I'll get off my soapbox. But again, investing's all about the slow and steady grind. And you know that so well as a real estate guy. That's what the essence of real estate is. Rental.
Absolutely. So do you think this is this report for me is going to be all about the conference call, right? Because the CEO, the CFO, whoever's on the call, they've got to basically come out and show that the worst days are behind them. There's a path. Because right now, I don't think First Republic is sellable. I don't think they could sell the company.
No, I think they've probably likely tried to sell the company.
Yeah, and they don't get a price. They get
right.
The only way it goes is FDIC has to shut them down. And then they do what they did at Silicon Valley Bank, right? Carve out part of the loan book, keep it with the FDIC, sell the good parts. So
we talked about this in one of the videos back at the origination of Silicon Valley blow up. Talked about, like, listen, guys, in 2008, this exact same thing played out, where Lehman and Bear Stearns were going under, and JP Morgan was expected to pay $28 a share for Bear Stearns and take them out. They ended up paying $2 a share, and it ended up happening about 8 months after what the expectation was, because they're like, listen, you have a bad book of business. We will continue to let you die on the vine until you are on death's doorstep, and we'll step in and buy you for pennies on the dollar. It was expected to go off at 28. It went off at 2.
Yeah, it's going to be very interesting. I think this is going to be an interesting one because, again, I just don't know, right? Deposit flight, loans going down, loan book sucks. It's just like a tale of many horrors.
How much coaching have these executives gotten about what they're going to do after the market today on this phone call?
They were practicing all weekend. I guarantee you.
Oh my God. They've been getting coached now for weeks coming into this, knowing that hey, you're going to be confident. You're going to answer this way, directly take it head on. You're not going to answer this because you don't have an answer for it. You're going to revert to this. Yeah, it's all coaching, and we'll see how good they are at playing out this playbook.
There you go, Taylor. Well, do me a favor. Where can people follow you?
Yeah, follow us at Life Goal Investments. We're both on Instagram and on TikTok.
Awesome, buddy. Thank you so much.